What do you
Go
what
for
do
it.
you think about the store? What do you think about the store thefts that are happening?
Well, I don't know. Are there recent ones going on?
There always is in LA. I always hear about smash and grabs and people shoplifting and everything going on in the LA area, and they're just not prosecuting anybody.
Well, LA
And
and San Francisco, but is it a California thing or is it going on in everywhere, anywhere else? Because
oh, I'm sure it's going on.
California, the smash and grabs, I think, I can't remember for sure if it's the area called Union Square, but up in San Francisco, I feel like there's a main, I'm going to call it a tourist area, but a main part of the city where a lot of retail has left because they can't deal with the fact that everything keeps getting stolen, and so stores like Rite Aids or Thrifties or Dwayne Reed's, the pharmacy types of stores. I don't know what they're all called around the country, but those stores, they're locking everything up. They lock all their medicine up that's brand name anyway. Usually their store name stuff will be unlocked, but the brand name stuff is locked. They're locking up things like washing detergent, washing the detergent you put in a washing machine. They're locking that stuff up because people are taking it. And even when it's not a smash and grab, they're just stealing that kind of thing. I think
Yeah.
there was a town uh, in one of the desert areas of LA where somebody just was in like one of those stores like Ross or I forgot
Marshalls,
yeah, Marshalls, those kinds of
Marshalls,
stores.
TJ Maxx,
They were in
those.
something like one of those stores and they just walked out. Like they like and the loss prevention can't really, or either can't or doesn't, but probably can't really do anything about it. And law enforcement won't. And so especially in areas like San Francisco and LA, law enforcement probably would do more, but they don't because of the prosecutor. So maybe I wonder if it's a California type thing, or is this going on around the country?
You know what? I haven't heard a lot about it around the country, but I just know this years ago, you know, down in Redondo Beach, I headed down to Albertsons one night, pulled in the parking lot. It was, I don't know, it was like maybe a Friday night during, just before school football games and all that other stuff. Well, anyway, I noticed a car pull up. It was full of kids, a couple of kids jump out, and then the car, as I was getting out, it went around the store and parked on a getaway street. And then I was doing something. I stayed out at my truck for a minute. I just kind of noticed it. And all of a sudden, two kids come running out of the store, and each of them have I don't know, an 18 pack of beer with them. And I yelled, "Hey," and the kids were running, and I chased after and I grabbed one kid, and he dropped the beer. And I had his jacket, and then I jerked on it, and he almost fell backwards. And then I let go of his jacket, hoping that he was going to slam himself because they were close to the car. They got away with one case of beer, and I got the kids, I got the car, I got the license plate number. I even had a picture of all the dumbass little high schoolers for the store. So I walk into Albertsons, carry that beer in, and I set it on the counter and say, "Well, sorry, I can only grab one beer, but I got everything else that you guys need to prosecute this." A bunch of little hoodlums taking beer that were under 21. So number one, they were stealing. Number two, they were stealing alcohol. Number three, they were under 21 years old.
Well, so the first
Okay.
question is, how do you know they're under 21 if you didn't see their ID?
Well, they look like kids, okay? And it was on a Friday night. Okay, let's look at this. This is a straight pipe of mine. This is a theory of mine. Okay. Redondo Beach, Friday night before a football game. What do you say?
You mean
I
a
mean,
high
it's
school
almost
football
like,
game? All right.
yeah, high school football game, not a, they don't have football games on Friday nights for NFL. I don't think. I don't know. I don't watch that stuff. But so that you got three things going on right there. Friday night, a football game, and school kids, school looking kids. Okay, chances are that I'm correct. I mean, it's I forget what it's called, but it's like, you put all these things together and it just flows in there. So I didn't know. But anyway, I walked into the store and the guy goes, well, thanks for getting the one back for us. So I said, here you go. You got a picture. We just call the cops. And he said, we don't call the cops. What? You don't call the cops? What the hell, dude? Oh yeah, the store policy is it's too much paperwork and nobody really cares, and so we just turn it in as a shrink and theft for our store. You know, one case of beer. Then that way, and it's like, well, you guys raise our prices because of this stuff gets stolen. Well, that's just what happens. He said, we're not going to call the cops. We're not going to press charges. We don't care that you got the license plate. And so basically, what it boils down to is nobody cares. But the thing that I care, because I have to pay the higher price if I go down to the store. If somebody's going to steal beer and I'm going to want to go drink beer, and the price of beer goes up to cover the shrinkage or the theft that this store had, whether it was a theft from them running out or smash and grab. This wasn't a smash and grab. The beer thing was right against the door in Albertsons, so that these kids could walk in and they're 10 feet from the door. They grab an 18 pack a piece and each of them run out the door 10 feet away. And these kids were fast, but I was able to hit one off and grab his jacket and put him off. But, all they did was just drive away and all of them were looking at me. So I got a good picture of all their faces and all of them flipping me the bird. And I got a picture of the license plate, and something should have been done about that. And, and there was another time I walked into a Walmart down there. And this one was in Torrance, California, but I walked into a Walmart and I was back in the automotive section. I saw some guy walk in the back and I'd grabbed whatever I was going to grab and I was headed up towards the front. He grabbed a big, gallon size of oil, a certain car oil. And he walked towards the front and I was just following him because I was headed to the register, figuring this guy was going to head to the register. He just turned and went right out the door. So I set my item down and I wanted to see this, because he didn't pay. And I thought that, when I worked at a department store back in the 70s, we had a security and we went out and they went out and picked up the person that stole from the parking lot and brought him in and called the cops and everything else. This person walked out and around the side of the store, jumped in the car and drove off because I watched him do the whole thing. And I thought, well, that's messed up. That's why we're paying higher prices for this stuff. But I didn't say anything to anybody because Walmart's huge. They expect and they adjust their pricing accordingly of what walks out the store. And not to mention all the employees in these stores that slip things out. It's just the thing about it is nobody cares. They just tack it on to the consumer price wise. And we wouldn't be paying such high prices if the law enforcement establishment didn't just think, well, it's just a $20 jug of oil, or it's just at that time, I forget what the beer prices were. I don't really drink beer, so I don't know, but a 25 or $30 case of beer walks out the door. We don't care. It's not worth prosecuting for. So that's why we have all these people that think we can just walk in the store and grab a gallon of oil and just walk out, and nobody's going to prosecute us for it. They're just going to raise, these people that do this don't understand that they just raise the prices, and it aggravates me that these smash and grabs, they go in and they do a lot of damage. You see it on the news. They go in, they smash all those cases, and they grab all this stuff. And you know what? In a jewelry store, maybe 50,000 or $100,000 walks out the door. That's not including the smashing of the cases, and then they're telling people, don't intervene. You could get hurt,
Well,
just let all these people.
that's a question is intervening and the possibility of getting shot and or killed, is that worth it for the $20 bottle of oil or the $20
Not
case
the
of
$20
beer?
bottle of oil, but you know what? When $100,000 walks out and then they refuse to do anything about it, that means that $10,000 tennis bracelet that you want to buy for your special one goes up to 20,000 next time, because they have to recuperate the loss. And insurance costs are high for all of us, because insurance is going, well, gee, we like it when nothing happens in insurance, so we we just want to take the money. So everything goes up in price due to the fact that and us at the consumer end, we end up having to pay more. The people that go in and take all these places, uh run in and shoplift from all these places. They're not necessarily doing a smash and grab, but they'll run in with a backpack and grab a whole section of, they'll case the joint and put the whole section of clothes that they want together, and then they'll go out and they'll grab a backpack, because you're not allowed to tell people to leave their backpacks anymore. You can't make them leave the backpack. So they'll just go in and then they'll walk up to that section, try and conceal themselves, even though that the store cameras see it all. And then they'll grab this whole section of clothes and fold it over once and stick it in the backpack and turn around and walk out. And that's, uh, Ross, Marshalls, TJ Maxx, that's, $100 to $150 worth of items walking out the front door. And they don't do anything about it. They just call it collateral damage, so to speak, and then they raise the prices. And it's not fair to those of us who try to be good and to not take advantage of the lack of prosecution system. And we tend to go in and just buy our stuff and pay for it. The store policies now have changed, and I don't know why, unless it's they don't want store personnel hurt, because people are willing to fight over that $20 jug of oil. Now the people that are taking it are willing to fight or to hit you over the head with that jug of oil, and then all of a sudden there's if you're an employee of the store, then all of a sudden is suing the store for not making it a safe work environment and
Right, right,
everything else. And before you know it, the store is paying you know $500,000 to some employee that got smacked with a jug of oil.
right.
And
Well, that's the
it's
thing is the item or the thing worth that? Because, a lot of people would say, no, it's not worth the uh
it's not worth it for anybody to get
trying to
hurt.
chase somebody down so that you can get them arrested is not worth the potential short-term injury, mid-term injury, long-term injury, up to death. It's not worth it for stealing something from a store.
No, but it's not worth it. But then you end up paying $25 for that jug of oil next time. And uh people, the high cost of inflation, and because of this non-discipline of anybody, we end up paying higher prices. And then that leads to a whole nother video, because you got people living on the street because they can't afford to live anymore, because they're paying too high of a cost at the stores, because the stores aren't prosecuting for anybody. It's a big snowball effect that rolls downhill, and by the time it's over, the rich have gotten richer and the poor, well, we're sitting underneath a bridge in LA with a tent, because that's all we can afford to live, because the inflation has booted us out of all our livelihood, and you can make that's what turns I guess a living wage into a non-living wage, is inflation.
Well, I mean, inflation comes around every now and then. It's been a while since we've seen it like this anyway, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, but still, I think that something should be done, and I think that if you get caught, say you work for, I don't know, say you work for a huge department store, and you get caught stealing, they prosecute you as the employee to the fullest extent of the law.
Oh, you mean if you're
Okay.
okay, if you get
If
caught
you're caught
stealing from
stealing,
the
if you're
store that
caught
you work for.
stealing,
Okay, yeah, that's
yes,
true.
they
Yeah.
will prosecute you to the full extent of the law, which is great. Why don't they do that to these little punk asses that go in there and shoplift? That
because
should be
you
doing.
because you're typically not armed when you're coming to work and doing your stealing, which is under the table as an employee. You're doing it in a sneakier way. The punk asses are coming in bold and brazen, and they may be armed, and so they're more dangerous than the employee.
Well, I would be more apt to pick up an item, pick up a quart of oil. If somebody flashes a gun, I would be more apt to pick up a quart of oil and throw it at them, and then rush them,
Well, maybe,
you
but
know.
not everybody does that. A lot of times they're going to run for their lives if they see somebody flash a gun at them. They don't want to die over
Yeah.
the quart of oil.
Yeah, but
But
they should,
do you think they
if
should
if
be, because they
if
could use they could, well, even the camera systems aren't going to always identify people because the smash and grabs
no,
don't. The smash and grabs in of those jewelry stores, they don't identify anybody, which is probably, well, not probably, which is
no.
why they get to keep on going on. But if you're going in and you're stealing uh, a purse full of pain medicine like aspirins or whatever, any that kind of thing, or maybe a couple of bags full of detergent, laundry detergent, then
Well, the
they're
thing,
the stores do they even need to spend the time and the money to prosecute? Because that's also a thing. If you think about it from a financial perspective, it's cheaper to let them steal it than it is to prosecute them, because if in the case of something that's smaller, like the all the stuff that's locked up at all the stores nowadays, most of that stuff is between like 20 and maybe $100 for the item, depending on what it is. If it's medicine or skin creams and or detergents or whatever. And so the write-off on that or the loss of that is probably way less expensive than it is to go through prosecution for all the people that do it, and prosecuting a couple of people and not everybody, then that doesn't do anything. It doesn't prevent uh, the stealing from still going on. So, but if you think about all the legal expense that would go into prosecution, it's cheaper just to let them have the items, isn't it?
well, yeah, but if somebody, like what happened with me, if somebody witnesses it, the least they could do is follow up.
Well,
When you've got pictures, you've got an eyewitness, you've got, eyewitnesses in the store,
Well, they
call
would
them
have
out on
probably
it.
had their own video as well. They probably have their own cameras, so they
Yeah.
wouldn't have necessarily even needed what you had. But they
Yeah.
could have used the copy of the
License
license
plate.
plate.
Yeah. The license plate, all the kids in the car flipping me off, facials, a picture of all their faces and everything else, as they're driving off, flipping me off because I'm the old bastard that tried to, that almost got them caught, so to speak, but they just chose not to do it. See, I mean, I can
I can
see
see.
if somebody comes in with a gun and takes something, you don't want to rock the boat, so to speak. But if somebody's just walking out and you've got store cameras and you've got an eyewitness that's willing to say, hey, this is what happened, I saw it, let's prosecute them. Don't just say, well, we don't care, because then the price of the items go up more, and then it taps us as the consumer out, because we're paying more for all these items that we don't want to pay more for.
Well, if you were prosecuting, you should prosecute the person with the gun before you should prosecute the people that didn't have the guns, right? Shouldn't you, when you
Well, you
mentioned,
should prosecute the person with the gun, and chances are you're going to if they flash it. But a lot of these smash and grabs don't actually. The only weapon they might have is a crowbar. They may have a gun to get it out of a tighter situation, but they just start swinging that crowbar. But if you got a picture of somebody swinging a crowbar, or a video of somebody swinging a crowbar, you have somewhat of evidence. But
yeah,
the
and
person with
then
the
again,
gun, that's a
we go
whole
back to prosecution takes place in differently around the country. Some areas of the country might care more in a way that you're caring about it, and other areas like Los
California,
Angeles,
San Francisco,
yeah,
and
like
Los
Los Angeles
Angeles.
and San Francisco, their district attorneys don't care. They literally don't care, and
I don't.
um, or at least that's the opinion that we hear, is that they don't seem to care. I should say it that way. They don't care. They don't seem to care. So, uh, but in other parts of the country, maybe the prosecution does happen. So if you don't want to be in those cities, that don't live in them, I suppose, right?
That's true. That's true. Don't just move out. But a lot of people, their jobs are there or whatever. And you know what I mean? The theory of it is that they don't care. But if it's true, it's not a theory, it's the truth. So these guys not caring, and they've proven it by their non-prosecution of anything, and their uh unwillingness to even follow up on something like that.
Right. Well,
And
there
that's
because
a problem. As a consumer, it bugs me, because I know when I go to the store, I have to pay more for these items, and I don't want to pay more for the items. I want the item at a fair price, and it's not fair. The prices are not fair anymore. I mean, everything is not fair. And all I want is, for the remainder of my life, is to cruise along and pay a fair price for any of the items that I decide that I want to buy, and that includes the high theft items that they're now locking up. But you know, but we're paying still too high for that price. And and there's a lot of factors to the price increases and inflation. But one of those
have you bought
factors,
any of those items? Like, have you gone into the medicine aisle and needed to get customer service to come open it for you?
yeah, they don't come and open it for you for about 30 minutes or 45, because
That's all I wanted to hear. That's all I wanted to hear.
that's a whole nother program, man. Is the standing around waiting.
All right. We'll find out what everybody else
Well,
thinks.
everybody on the planet needs to be kind and generous to one another. Everybody be kind and generous.
Oh, well, good luck with that.
Yeah, I know.